the fragrance of selfless love that has drawn the world into one family. The truth of an eternal message that has been revealed through every act and word. The fulfillment in service that has been taught by relentless sacrifice. The Lord's own life is indeed His message.
Sai Ram, and greetings from Prashanthi Nilayam. In the last several episodes, we have seen in some detail as to how Swami's life itself is his own message. In this, the 22nd episode of our series, we shall turn our attention to what Swami's life really means to every one of us. No doubt, Swami has said that our lives must be so lived so as to reflect his message. But how exactly are we to do it? That is the question that we shall now examine.
All of us are well aware that if there is one word that dominates Swami's discourses and also conversations, it is love.
Embodiments of develop love more and more. Love everyone.
We all use the word love ever so often. But do we understand what pure love, which is what Swami always has in mind, really means? When we talk of love, we almost always think in terms of the love between a mother and her son, between a husband and his wife, between two good friends, and so on. All these types of love are based on specific bodily relationships. They are also transient. By contrast, Swami's love is of a very special kind. It is pure, selfless, and saturated with boundless compassion. Above all, it is divine, eternal, and the same towards all without exception. People may say, listen, we are mortals. How can we live a life radiating divine love? We are not God, but just ordinary people going about our lives as billions do all over the world. It therefore does not make any sense to say that we must live our lives like Swami does. Impossible. It is funny how often people say this, even though Swami tells us over and over again, you are not the body as you often think you are. Rather, you verily are the Atma. I am God, but so also are you. I know I am God, but you do not. That is the problem. What this means is that instead of trying to find excuses, we must squarely face the question, how do we go through daily life and yet live it in such a manner as to reflect the divine? We do not have to scratch our heads or read difficult texts to find the answer. Baba has already given us the formula. He says, live in the world as you have to. Go about your daily work as you have to. However, the motivation for all your actions must not be based on worldly considerations alone. Instead, they must be rooted in eternal values. Swami makes it even more simple. He says, just make sure your action is based on pure love. you then can be sure that automatically it would be in harmony with both Satya and Dharma. So that is the first lesson in how to make our lives reflect his message. Let us now try to understand how exactly we tune our actions in life to Satya and Dharma. Take your cell phone, for example. The phone is able to work because it has access to electrical power. Where does that power come from? From the battery within. As you know, the battery gets drained after a while, which is why the battery of the cell phone has to be periodically charged. How is it charged? By connecting to the regular power supply, of course. Satya, Dharma and Prema represent, in a sense, spiritual power. That power is resident in our hearts. So, if our actions are to be suffused with Satya and Dharma, then clearly our mind, which is what triggers all our actions, must be plugged into the heart. That should be clear, is it not? Now, one might complain and say, "Listen, I'm a busy person. I do business. I have no time for all this. Count me out." Sorry, there are no such exemptions. You see, one may be a businessman, but that does not mean he is exempt from Satya and Dharma. Many people think morals and ethics do not apply in the field of business. This is simply wrong. Imagine you are sick and go to a doctor. Actually, your problem is simple and nothing complicated. But suppose your doctor orders all kinds of expensive and totally unwanted tests, and then gives you a big fat bill. How would you feel? You would be outraged and think it is highway robbery. However, these days many doctors do precisely that, and when pressed, admit that is the way medical business works. Swami is very clear about all this, and we should therefore pay close attention to what he tells us. He says emphatically, "You may be engaged in business, but that does not give you the license to cheat and make big profits. Remember, the one whom you think to be your customer is really me coming to you in the disguise of a customer. Would you like to cheat Swami?" I hope not. Therefore, remember that when you cheat a customer, you are really cheating God. The point being made is important and needs to be digested. Today, for example, technology is being heavily misused and people are being fooled in all sorts of ways so that big companies make huge profits while ordinary people suffer in various ways. Some people regard fast foods to be a great boon of modern technology. Is it? Gas-guzzling cars are considered to be terrific. Are they, when they consume so much fuel and add to the pollution of the atmosphere? What about video games? Not only do people, both young and old, waste a lot of time on them, but do you know how much the excessive violence depicted in these games harms society? Science and technology have no doubt conferred many benefits, but they have also done much to ruin the quality of life. Now, who is responsible for all these problems? Illiterate people or the educated? Corporate frauds, industrial accidents due to criminal negligence, cybercrime, and the recent market crash? Who is responsible for all these? The educated or the illiterate? The answer is clear, is it not? One can go on and on, but there is really no need to. The message is loud and clear. Modern education has a lot to answer for. It certainly is not what it ought to be, and that is something we ought to deeply ponder about. So you see how we have allowed modern science and technology to be misused in various ways. And all that has happened because of the severe disconnect between knowledge and basic values. Let me introduce you at this point to Professor Victor Weisskopf. An Austrian by birth, Weisskopf studied physics in Germany. Later, he escaped to America when Hitler began exterminating Jews. During World War II, Weisskopf worked on the atom bomb project. After the war, he became disillusioned by nuclear weapons, joined the famous Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and became a distinguished professor there. Now listen to what Professor Weisskopf once told an audience of distinguished scientists. He said, "Knowledge without compassion is inhuman, while compassion without knowledge is ineffective." This is an important statement, coming as it does from a learned scientist. And in today's context, it is full of meaning. Maybe all this would help you to better appreciate the incredible contribution that Bhagwan Baba has made to education, not only by setting up model school and university, not only by making education totally free, but more importantly, by blending worldly education with spirituality. But also by personally spending so much time with students, telling them various things about Atma Vidya, or the knowledge of the self. Okay, you might argue, I have my own work. How does all this apply to me? If you think about it, everyone can set apart some time for serving others by telling them how to balance their worldly knowledge with what is important for life and how to digest the lessons that nature constantly offers us. For example, Baba has told us so many things about how to take care of the human body, both from a physical and spiritual point of view. Why not share some of it with, say, children, or youth, or even grown-ups? These days, people say they are busy. Yet, they waste a lot of time watching TV, speaking endlessly on the phone, spending a lot of time on the internet in search of gossip and what not. Small groups of concerned devotees could try and organize groups to draw the attention of others to socially more productive and beneficial ways of spending their time. Remember what Swami says about waste of food, time, energy and money.
Don't waste time, don't waste money, don't waste food, don't waste energy.
He strongly disapproves of all this, adding that food is God, time is God, energy is God, money is God, etc. Many people are simply not aware of such things, which means that those who know must do at least something to spread these ideas among those who need to know. This is one way of doing service, one way of helping, one way of expressing love for others, all of which adds up to service to God. By the way, the well-known Bal Vikas movement was established by Swami mainly to make elders do their bit to train young people. And do you know how many thousands all over the world have benefited from such training at a young age? If you think about it, there are any number of ways in which every individual can serve society. Serving society is important because God Himself is immanent in society. I mean, if God is in every single person, Surely he is also in society. That is obvious, is it not? There is a well-known saying, where there is a will, there is a way. There is a famous example of this, and to know more, here is what I suggest you do. Go to the internet and try to find out about a lady called Helen Keller, who was blind, deaf, and therefore also dumb. Find out about the remarkable contribution she made to society. That, I assure you, would be an inspiring and humbling experience. Absorb that story and tell it to young children so that they too are inspired. More than anything else, the story of Helen Keller tells us how much we can do if only we bother to tap the infinite power of the Spirit within us.
That spirit is no ordinary spirit. It is verily the Atma, or God, or Swami. The power inside us is thus unlimited. I mean, what more could one ask for? With Swami within us, and so eager to help us, if only we could approach him. Sometimes we wonder, what are we all waiting for? That is all we have for this episode, and see you again tomorrow as we continue this series entitled The Message of the Lord. Thank you for being with us, and we do hope that you are enjoying our presentation. Jai Sai Ram.